Okay, like I said, we stop at the step definition for your feature file. So, and I said when you create your step definition first, you should be able to see all the steps in there, and by default, it's going to have a pending step or statement. So, and when you and that is that. So then the next one is utility. We're going to do that right now. But before then, I try to run my script to see, can I see all my tests? Because I've created a test right now. My test is my feature file, which is this one. I've created a test for the feature file, and I can try to see when I clean, I've got the removed, and I also told you about the test explorer. So if you cannot find it, you go to test window and you have it on test explorer, because sometimes if you click that it disappears, but you can bring it up by clicking that. So on my test explorer, when I clean, there's no test at all. So then I can see my test. So I've got registration. I've got other unit tests, which is this one. So basically was a unit test that I did. I can remove that because that's not necessary. Someone said my screen is too small. 1 minute. Okay, you see your test listed here. You got registration of new users, which is what is on your scenario. That's your test. So this issue you can disregard because that is the first unit test I created by default, which is that one. And it's not, you don't need to use it. You can as well delete that particular file, but let's leave it for now. Doesn't matter. So now this is the test that we are running. So when you run that test, you expect it to fail. You click on that and you click on run selected test. So okay, so there's a warning sign here. So then you click on that, you see what the issue is. So let's bring this one up. You see another banner here. So it said output. What's the output? Output said, oh, giving I navigate to the site. That is done. Then, and I click on register button. That is pending because it's got pending step. And because that is pending, then the other steps are skipped. So let's see what the problem is from the code. If you go to the step definition, so let's start from the registration. So to go to the step for this, right, like I told you, every and press F12 to go inside there, or you right click and you go to definition. That takes you to the definition for that particular line. You can see in this line there's nothing inside, so that means it is fine because it's got nothing, so it's going to do nothing. So for him it's okay. So let's go to the next one, which is the next one is pending. The result that we get is like that particular line is pending, so which is this one. So let's go to the definition for that. So you got pending scenario there. So if I remove all the pending scenarios, So basically, right now, there's nothing in my test. It's not going to do anything. Well, it's going to do nothing. So if I run my test, I expect it to pass because it does nothing at all. So the first step is giving a navigate. What are the Selenium code to navigate to the to a site? I need to put that step here. What are the Selenium code to click on the register button? I need to put that here. What is the Selenium code to enter first name? Then I need to put that there. So what is Selenium code to enter the last name? And I put that here. So that's why I said I'll try to make it as easy as possible to use as a framework to say that once you have your step definition, then the next step is, okay, I need to put this thing here, but I don't know how to put them. But how can I actually get what I need to put into each of these step definition? So this is the next part now, which I think is one of the most challenging parts. To reason what we need to do. Giving I navigate to the site. So you know which site are we talking about? Google.com, Yahoo.com, Giftrich.com. So you want to navigate to the site. What do you need to do for you to navigate to the site? First thing, you need to open your browser. As this step that you do manually needs to be automated now. That's what you need to do. You need to automate the steps now. So the first thing you do, you open your browser. You open your browser on w.p. So that's this step now. You need to automate this step. I want to open my browser and I want to click www.giftreach.com. So what do you do? Now, for you to do that, you need to initialize Selenium. You need to open the Chrome browser. So to do that, there's a step that is common for everyone to do. So for your test to run, there's something that we call before scenario. Before your scenario starts, there's a hook that you need to run. So I've talked about different files. So I'm going to talk about another file now, which is another set of files. So let's go back to this. So I will leave that for now. So, but bear in mind, the step definition, we know how to create that step definition. We did that last week. So the next one now is for me to create my hook. So right click and click on add and click new item. So you go to Specflow hook. So I can remove the one. I just want it to be hook. So that creates a before and after scenario for me. So what exactly is before and after scenario? A before scenario means that before my scenario runs, anything I put in here should be run first. Which means that for me to test anything on Giftrich, put it here. You put it here. So now, this is the thing. If you don't know how to open a browser, just Google it. How can I open a browser with Selenium? you're going to see a lot of things, questions that people like you will have asked, and you will see a lot of answers. How to open a browser, how to open Chrome browser, or how to initialize my driver in Selenium. So the steps is what you need to put in there. So Selenium, there is a driver that we use, is called WebDriver. So WebDriver is what we're going to use. So the first thing I declare, and I think like Statella was, or I'll say I'm going to make it like a building block, so to say, so that you follow it. When you follow it with the steps, you should be fine. So now, in another class, after this one, I'll tell you why I'm doing this, but not just follow these steps, but I'll tell you why this is happening. So the first thing, you initialize your driver. What is initialization? So it's basically like for you to drive any car, the first thing you do, you don't just sit there and say, okay, car should move. No, you need to turn the ignition on before you can maybe start put the gear and say gear 1 or gear 2 and you move up. But so that is what you need to do now. For you to do that, you write WebDriver. So I will say this. So this is where people will be scared, because this is now you writing C# code, but I wouldn't say you are writing C# code as a developer. Quickly, I'll go through this particular C# code. The first thing you see are different libraries that C# is using. So, and the first one is a system. And you can see Specflow there. And also, it follows with a namespace. A namespace, technically, I would say, is like a folder, how your files are stored. So, my file, the name of my file is my project that I've created is Specflow training. And I've got another folder which is training. So, you can technically, you can say, when you look into Specflow training, and under Specflow training, there's a folder called utility. Then this is where this particular class is stored. So if I go to my file, that file is stored, and that is that file. So that is that. So from there, you can see that that is a namespace. Then it follows with a binding annotation. So the binding is telling you that you're going to be using a before scenario or after scenario. This makes it that this particular method is not ordinary method. It's a method that will be run after every scenario. What does that mean? If you need to BDV, what is the scenario? This is a scenario, and this is a feature. So you can have many scenarios here, because you can do this. With me, so you know that there are different techniques, design techniques to do for testing. So you have your equivalent partitioning and boundary value analysis. For instance, let's say in a scenario that we want to register with invalid user, invalid. So I say, so this is registering normal user and this is registering invalid user. So now I can say I am not, because if you supply enter, okay, let me, okay, let's do this. So in this scenario, this is the normal steps. You go and you get registered, and in this one is invalid. You supply the normal password, but instead of you to confirm it with a valid password, you put an invalid password. So then you click on the sign in button. It should not be registered. As you can see, this step now turns to purple because that step is not yet there's no step definition for it right now. So I need to create a step definition for it. So and the same thing with this also. So you need to create a step definition for that. So but now we have two scenarios. So is executed. So that means your before scenario is going to be run twice. First for this and another one before this scenario is executed. So if you go back and see what we have. So we have our before scenario. So that is your before scenario. And there's other one for after scenario. The name implies when your scenarios are finished, then this step should be executed. That's what it means. So let's go back to what we were doing before. I was saying that I'm going to initialize my driver because I want to be able to start Chrome in this particular step. The first step that I need to do is my before scenario is to initialize Chrome, is to start Chrome driver. Right, is WebDriver driver. For anything that you see red under, that means there's something wrong with what you are doing. You should check it properly. And there's a, so if you put your mouse on that one showing red, it should give you something is called IntelliSense, which is like the yellow bulb that you are seeing right now, which kind of an idea of what you should do. So, but it's telling you that the type or namespace iWebDriver could not be found, or are you missing a directive or assembly reference? So what do you need to do? So that is what is telling you that something is wrong. I cannot find a reference. So, and so I'll go up quickly. So what you say, or that's got a parent to WebDriver, so I can't actually see it from here. So now what do? You click on that bulb again and see if it can suggest anything to you to do. So now it's suggesting a lot of things for you to do, and you now look up, okay, what is the right approach? Because there are a lot of suggestions I can see here, but which one is the applicable one for me? So I can say, oh, that is the reason. I am using a Selenium library, but I am not adding it to my using clause at the top. So that's what it's telling me. So for me to do that, so now I just click on that. I say, okay, use this first option. That's what I intended to do. And I click on that. Instantly, it goes in there and do that for me. So, and you can see, So that's the issue resolved. But however, that is one way to do it. But if you don't do that, you could as well, before you type this, first type your using openqa.selenium at the top. When you do that, then you go here and you type your iWebDriver. So then you don't see that issue, because before you type your iWebDriver, you already first put your using. But it depends on which one you prefer to do. So that's our driver done. So the next step for you to do is to now say that, oh, I need to use Chrome. I need to use Chrome. So is equal to new Chrome driver, open and close. The same thing also applicable to this. I'm also using Chrome driver, but it is not anywhere at the top. So there's reference that I'm missing. So what I need to do is to click here also, and it proposed to me that, oh, you got a keyway selenium.chrome, which you are using, or it's not in the using clause at the top. So I click on that again, and that goes at the top. So that is me ready, because I now have my Chrome driver opened. So as it happened, nothing at all. So, but now when we do it, let's try to run it again and see, because as you said, for each scenario, we said this anything in this step should be executed. So let's try to build our test again. So when we build this test right now, you can see initially we have one test, but now it's now two tests under registration, because we now have two scenarios, one for registration new user and one for registering invalid users. So we now have two tests rather. Yeah. So let's try to run the first one. If you run the first one, okay. I'm not sure you're able to see this because it opened a new window for me. So you see something like that. So it opens Internet Explorer Chrome driver for you, and that is what you will see. So that opens a Chrome driver for you. So then that is that, because now in your class, you've already said you have a Chrome driver, and that is you done. There are different ways to do this. Also, you can put an option. So I just want to make it easy right now. In advanced stage, I'll tell you different things to, if you want to be clever with Chrome driver, you can put different options in there. So to say, you want to maximize, you want to disable different extension, you want to open in incognito, you want to even ignore some certificates, or even if you want to run in headless, which will be advanced. But let's just keep it simple. So for you to run your test, you need to initialize your driver and you need to start Chrome driver. That is that done. So now, and say, yeah, I want to navigate to the site. But you need to bring in your driver like that. Driver dot navigate to where you are going through. But like I said, that's why I said this is where you're using C# and also C# object-oriented programming. So now, because you declared your driver in a different class and you want to use it in a different class, there's a way to do it in C#. To use a layman terminology, it's like you are in a different room and you want to talk to another person in another room. What do? You maybe build a bridge, or you put a hole in the wall so that you can see the person. But actually, different room. So the same way with C# also, you have two classes and they have different objects. They have different elements. They have different child, different. So, but now you need to bring one from the other. So that is why you have something is called public, private, static. So every object that is public will be seen. For instance, if you have a this method right now, this method is public. It means that it can be seen from other classes. So, but if it's private, it will not be seen because it's technically private to this particular class. So the same way also here, we have public. We cannot see it in the other side. Okay, maybe I'll retrace again. So initially, this is what you will do. You go hook. That's name of our file, of our folder, right? Of our class rather. Hook is a class that our driver is stored. So, and under hook, we know I have driver. I have dot driver. Dot is going to say, okay, bring any element of that particular class for me, any object in that class. But however, only public objects will be seen. Only public objects will be seen. But because in the hooks, oh sorry, even the spelling is wrong anyway. Okay, in the hooks, with I don't have okay any public, yeah. Okay, this another thing that makes it so interesting also. So even though the object is public, right? You can only I'm going to actually do this in more of the C# classes, to be honest. So after I think I wanted to do the C# maybe two lessons. So maybe in the next lesson I'll do C# object oriented because I think this is where we are going to right now. So there's difference between public and static, right? Static is when you want your object to be seen everywhere and they maintain the same they carry the same value when they go. So a static value is a static object is as the name implies, get a static class. So in that regard, this is a private, it cannot be seen. So the first thing we do is we make it public. So once we make it public, yeah, so what's going to happen is it can be seen if we declare the class. So the same way I'm using hook. I'm using hook. So because they are not in the same namespace. So I'm going to say, okay, yeah, use the utility namespace. Then it's adding that. So everything is gone. So this is not the approach I'll use. I'm just telling you a bit of C#. So now I've declared my hook, and my new hook is my hook. So which is now an instance of hook. So if I go here and I say my hook, now I can see every object that is attached to that my hook. Before scenario that we've seen as a method, after scenario we've seen that also, and we see you can say yes. Now you got your driver is in where you want it. Then what do you need to do? Navigate. Dot navigate. So then where do you want to navigate to? You need to put the URL of that particular location that you want to go to. So how do you do that? You put that dot go to URL. Then which URL? www.giveways.com. Okay. Now this but it's different from hooks that you declare here. But what you want is like when you have your hook, when you have your driver here, you want your driver to be consistent throughout your test. So it's basically that when you're driving a car, you start the car. In the middle of the road, you go out of the car. And you want to say, I want to start this car again. So even if you start a car, it will be a different car entirely. So, but you don't want that. You want the same car that you started and that started the journey with you to be the same car that you're going to use, or it's going to be a new driver or the old driver. But because in this one, you've already initialized your driver to Chrome. So you can start a new instance here. But however, there's a way to do it in C#, which is you declare this particular driver, you declare it to be static. You declare it to be static. So if you declare it to be static, then you are fine. So once you do that, then you have issues here, because that should not complain, because a static class, you don't need to initialize it. So this is gone, and then you should be able to go directly to the class. And this is what you do. To initialize a class, how to know that what is a static class and what's a public class and what is a. So that's why I put you through that. So I'll go back again to go through the steps. Like this is how you would do. The first thing you've done is to say a public static iWebDriver driver. That's what you would do. And then on inside your before scenario, you say driver is equal to Chrome driver. This should open Chrome for you. Then also that our Chrome is opened, what do we need to do? Navigate to the website. So, and we know that in our feature file, we already have a step definition for navigation, which is giving a navigate to the site. I go to which is this one. So now my driver is stored in hook. So I put hooks.driver. So it's basically just to do it again. So hooks dot. So it's going to bring, now I can see driver coming up. So click on that, or you can as well type it, driver. So under driver, what do you have? You have a lot of things that you can do. But now, the first thing that we want to do is to navigate to a site. So you say navigate, and you open and close bracket, and then go to URL, and you open your bracket, and put that, and you say so that is that. So that should take you to the site. So when you get to the site, what happens? Because you want to register, and the next thing is for you to click on the register button. How do you click on register button? So you need to inspect that particular button or links or everything. This is going to take a while, so we take a pause here. So now every object on a web page has got an element that it can be called by different names, whether you want to call it or using different purpose. So the first thing, let's say this open your web page in Chrome. I'll say in Chrome. You could also use this in Firefox or Internet Explorer, but let's use Chrome. So then right click on register and say inspect elements. So that takes you to that element. Bear in mind that when you click on that, the register should be highlighted to show that this is where you are. So let's try to expand to see what exactly this means. So now you now have this particular tag for the register. The register is a link. That's where you can see the A tag. It takes you to this link, and it's got a text like that, and then the end of the tag. So that is what you are looking for. So now, I said the next one is for you to click on the register. Let's go back to our code and to see what we need to do. Okay, so like I said, I want to click on register. I can as well do it from here because I know this is it. I click on register button. That's where you need to put your code to click on the register button. I test again or go to my feature file and I say this is the step I want to implement now. So I click on that, go to my step definition. In my step definition, it takes me back into that particular place for me to put the step to click on the button. So now, so this is where you need to now look. If you forget anything or you don't know how to do it, just Google it and say, how do I click on a button using Selenium? Or how do I click on a link using Selenium? Before I go ahead, I'll go back to the page again, and I see that there's a wrong choice of word here. It's got the A sign. If it's a button, I think it's gonna go like a button or something like that. And also, if you have time, not even if you have time, I think you also need to read a bit about HTML for you to make this work for you, to see what exactly are all these things. If they look like jargons to you, then you need to look into them actually. So for those people that have gone through, I think I went through this with them quickly. So I'll go through them just a bit quickly, but not in great detail. But I would advise you to also look into HTML. It will really make your life easier. So let's go through this. So when you inspect any page, more often than not, so you have something like that, HTML, and you will end it with another HTML. So that is the beginning, and you will have head, and that also is going to be terminated with another head, and you have body, and end of your body. So in the head, you put most of information about the page. You put in the head, on also JavaScript and everything. So, but as for you, also in the head, also you have the title of the page, and it's more of information about that particular web page. So, but the fun part will happen in the body. So that's where you have everything, all the objects, all the elements in that particular page will be in the body. So if you now look at this particular site critically and see what we have a HTML. I think it's got different properties, but you don't need to worry about them. So you have your HTML, and it's ended with another HTML. So that is that. So okay, technically you can see HTML, you have the head and end of the head. So if you expand that, you have the head and you have different metadata that is stored in the head, and some script also, and that is the end of the head tag. So let's collapse that. So then you have your body and the end of the body. So if I expand the body now, you have different div, which is also identified by an ID. Should be able, that's, yeah, FB reset, and also you have the script, and you have another div which of class wrapper. So so when I click on it, you can see it's highlighted. That is the container for the whole page. So then if I go to this one, you can see that is for the navigation. So, and that is nav with class of top bar. So you can see, so then another div, another div, another div, then this is a list, UL is another list. So also each part of the list, you have that one and another one of the, another one. So at the end of the list, you have also slash list. So then on and on. It's now closed. So basically that is that. So if you have a input button, you see input and everything, but I'd advise you pick up like a DOMs in HTML, so and it should be fine. So yeah. So now if you go to the navigation, we have this, and that's where even our register button is stored. So if we go down a bit, so we still have our register button also included. So then also in this div, also the register button also is included. But when I go here, now my register button is no longer included from the shade. So this is not this particular div I'm looking for. So, but yeah, this is it. So now going down, yeah, I'm interested in anything in this particular division. So about highlighted. So about this, no, I'm not. About this list, I'm not. About this list, yes, it's where my register link is accommodated, and that is the link itself. So now this is what I want. So now, how do I click on that particular register link? There are different ways to click on to identify an element in a page. There are different ways to identify an element. For instance, you can see that some element has got A. If it's an A, that means a link. And you can see some element they've got an ID. So in link, so it's going to go to where the register link is and it's going to click on it. But however, what is the disadvantage or what is the issue will I find? Issue that I will find is that if there are more register link, then it's going to go and find the first one and click on it. But yeah, if that's not the one you are looking for, then you're going to have issue with that. But you can one way to click on an element is if the element is a link, you can find it by the link. Also, I said you can also find the element by its ID. You can find it by the ID. Also, you can find it by the class, the name of the class. So for instance, this one right now, so you have different one, like this is now class is equal to right list group, and yeah, so you have also you can identify an element by the name of the class, and also there are other ones also that you can use. So in some cases you look at the page and you see there's no ID, there's no class, and it's not a link. What do? So you have to be clever in this actually. So when you inspect an element, you need to see what you can use to identify the element. You need to see that particular tag. If I'm looking for, let me go down a bit and take another element. That is an image, right? So now I want to click on that image, and that image has got a class. So that means I can identify this particular image by the name of the class. So let's assume the developer refused to put the class name, and there's no class, and there's no ID. What do I do? So you still have different options. So you can also identify it by CSS selector or also by XPath. How do you get the XPath? So right click. The easiest option is to say right click, copy XPath. That should copy the XPath for you. So if you are looking for CSS selector, you say copy selector. That should copy something for you. For instance, let's say copy selector. I copy that and see, let's go into our code. So that is the CSS selector for that particular image that I click. But however, that's not what I'm looking for. So I'll remove it. So I'm only looking for the register button. But however, it's not even a button, it's a link, but we can leave it up for now. So what do I need to do? I need to click on that particular link. So now, like I said, my driver is stored in the hook class. So I will say hook driver dot. So now I want to find elements. So you go to find elements, find elements. So with S. So I'll quickly tell you the difference. One is like if I say find elements class by class name image underscore cat home. So okay, maybe that's not a good one. Okay, let's say that. Okay, but if the class, this particular class, is not unique in this page, in essence that there are different elements that's got the same class. So that means there are more than one element pairing that class name. So if you use find elements with S, it's going to bring an array of all the elements for you to say, oh, maybe there are 5 elements. So them in an array for you. But if you use find element without the S, it's going to look for the first one and send it to you. So, but if you use it with the S, it's going to bring everything to you. So why do I need to use find element with S? For instance, you want to ascertain, or you want to say, oh, for instance, let's say this is clever, right? I want to establish how many rows. Let's first do this. Okay. So I'm trying to see which one is the best one to use. For instance, you can see this class, they got kind of similar names in terms of call space excel2. I can as well say, okay, give me any class or any object with only this class. So what's going to find? It's going to find this, it's going to find this, and it's going to find this, it's going to find this. So it's going to return all these 4 boxes for me. However, because I might want to ascertain that this page is got these 4 boxes in there. So then I can say, oh, and return all the 4s. I can assert them and to be sure that, okay, yeah, it will return those 4 to me. So that's when you use them. But if you are sure that you only want to return the element, we know let's assume our register button is 1, so we want to get our register button out. So find element. So open bracket by by sorry, 1 minute. So now you can find your elements by different ways. So like I said, you can find your elements by ID, or you can find your elements by namespace. No, sorry, by class name. So even you can find your element by partial link test, or also by link, and also you can find your element by name of that particular object. So okay, so by sorry, capital. So now when you say by, you can see it's got underline here. Like I said before, you click on that and you go okay. If you've not added Selenium before, so you need to add that. So if you say again by, so you can see different way that you can actually add find an element by class name, CSS selector, by ID, by link text, by name, partial link text, or tags. And okay, I'll say this again. So for instance, if I remove that and you put your by here with capital B, added as a reference. So you click on the bulb and using, so, and that is that for you. So you can now select what you want. So but because our register is a link, so we can select link text. So by link text, then you open another bracket and open a code. So technically now, this is another framework that you should know. For you to go and click on, for you to find any is initiated or initialized. So and dot what you call your driver. You might not call it driver as I call it, but most people call it driver. Then dot find element. How are you finding your element? By which type of method are you using to find the element? In this particular time, I'm using link text. Then now, which type of element is it? What's the name of the element? So we go back to our test, our site. We inspect that element again. Let's see. So it's called register. The text is register. So I paste that. So that is the text. So this is going to find the element. But however, you need to click on that element. Dot, you put another dot at the end, and you see what you can do. So I'll go through this again. You can clear an element. You can clear. So of course, it's a link. You cannot clear a link. But what can you clear? A text box. For instance, if you type something in a text box and you want to clear it, you use the clear. So, and you can click on any object. You can check if that object is displayed. You can check if that object is enabled. You can also, so most of the ones are, you can find the attribute of a particular element or the location of the element. Also, you can check if the element is selected or not, and also the size of the element. And you can also find so now what we need to do is click on the element because it's a link. Open and close, then so that is what you need to put in there, because you just want to click register button. Then let's go back again to our feature file. What do you need to do? You want to enter your first name. So you know that when you click on it, you expect it to go away from this page and go in there. So it's going to go there and it's going to say, okay, now what do you need to do? Okay, let me make it smaller. The G. So that's what you want to do in the next step, and also your email. So now, so enter your first name. I right click on that. I go to where that is. Like I said, also, what do I need to do? Of course, I need to do my hooks.driver dot find element. How am I finding it this time? I'm not so sure, so I don't know how I'm going to find this element. So what way to find the element? By class name, if it's called a class name. By CSS selector, I can get my CSS selector from it. By ID, by link text, by name, or partial link text. But right now, I don't know. So I need to inspect the element first to see which is the right method for me to use. So we go back to our web page. This is the first name. So right click on that text box, inspect. So that is that. So it's a text box and it's got type text. We don't need that. So yeah, it's got a class. So you can as well use the class name. But to be honest, class name is not the first thing you should use. It should be the even last thing, because so then also it's got a name. I can also use the name. That's okay. But however, it's got an ID. More often than not, in a web page, ID are always unique. I'll say always. So are unique. So in that case, I will favor ID than other particular properties in this particular element. So I know that I can use class. I know I can use the name, but also it's got an ID. So I can say, okay, I'll use an ID. So let's use an ID for that. So we go back to our site and say by ID. So then after that, open and close. Then what is the name of the ID? I've already copied it. I pasted. Do this dot click. This is going to click on the text box. However, that's not what I want. I want to type something inside. That's what I want. It's not a click. It's not a button. So I want to type something in there. So what I need to do, I'll copy that. So, but I don't need the click. But I want to send a key into, or keys into that particular text box, which is in a layman term, I want to tap into that. So the right method to use is send keys. Send keys. What are you sending? My name. That is that. So, one thing I tell people is like, Selenium is a bit difficult, but with Specflow added to it, it makes your life a bit easier if you are learning, actually, because even in Selenium, you need to know where to put all these things and everything. But in Specflow right now, by just going to your feature file and coming back, you can just be putting what you are putting, and that's it. The next one now is I want to enter my last name. So the same way I've been doing for the one at the top, I do the same thing also, and I say hook. I can as well just paste what I've copied before, right? But now I'm not sure, but of course I need to, better still, copy that. But however, this is the ID for the first name, but I don't know the ID for the last name. I don't even know whether it's got an ID anyway. So I need to go and check what that element has got. So I go to inspect that element, the last name. So it's got an ID too. But let's assume we're going to use the name now. But I will say always use the ID if the ID is there. But let's assume in this time there's no ID. We want to use the last name, or we want to use the name. So we go here and go back to. So this is it. But I don't want to use the ID. Is for you to enter the password and also confirm the password. So what is password? So the password, there's name and there's ID and okay. So but I would just want to test another method also now. So I don't want to use the ID, I don't want to use the name. Maybe perhaps this particular, just as an example, maybe this password hasn't got those ones, because it's possible in some cases you inspect the element, you don't see the name, you don't see the class, you don't see the ID. And however, before I go, I just remember how do you identify your element? What are the different methods that you can use? So you should be able to tell them, yeah, you can use an ID, you can use name, you can use CSS selector, and I want to use one right now. I'll use CSS selector for this. So also, so that we can actually learn how to use that. So to use CSS selector, I said copy that, right click on that particular element and copy, and say copy selector. So copy selector. So you go back to your So say hook dot driver by dot. So I said I should use CSS selector. So let's use that. So open bracket, then paste that in. That is my selector, CSS selector. And what do I want to do? I want to send keys. So send keys. What key am I sending? That's my password. Original. Secured. Password. So that is now and close bracket. By adding open and close bracket. By CSS selector, open and close bracket. Inside there's a code and you put your string. Inside there's a code and put your string. Then dot your action. I want to click, I want to send, I want to send key, I want to send. So what if it's click? Of course, you don't put anything inside. Or if you are sending keys, that means you are typing. What are you typing inside? What you are typing inside, as you can see. So the next one is to confirm your password. So the same way, I just copy that and I put that here. So what I need to do now, inspect my confirm XPath. XPath is also good because that takes you through. So in some cases, when a step hasn't got ID, hasn't got class, it would have an XPath. Is it send key or send keys? Is it send keys or send keys? So as you can see, it is send keys with S. So do you have any options here? You don't. So technically that's it. So you only have send keys with S. And also it makes sense because you are sending more than one keys. More than one key. So it's send keys with S. So you do, but you will see what you can do. Click display enabled, find elements. So and send keys and those, and also you can get the text or submit if required. So yeah. Okay, so now let's wrap it up with the confirm password. Confirm password. I said let's use the XPath for that. So the same way you do for CSS selector is what you do for XPath, and you copy XPath. So you copy the XPath. So password, you paste your stuff in. Oh, I think that is a wrong one. Right, copy XPath, and just to be sure it's copied. Okay, cool. So now I can paste it here. So that is my XPath. Okay. be careful at this point. I would say be careful at this point. There's some C# gimmicks that you have to use, because once you paste it, when this one's pasted, you can see there's quote and there's another quote here, and that in terms of string, a string like this is a string. It's got quote beginning and quote at the end. So that's what everything that we are passing are strings. The same way for this also is a string. So, but the problem is, like, inside this string, there's another string also, which is this one. But how do you now say this is not a different word, it's together? So what you need to do, some people will do this, change this one to quote, to single quote. So that it's like even writing in English that Ade said, then what did Ade say? That Deji said. So it's like to say, oh, Ade said, Deji said, okay. So you want to put them in a right quote. So you could do this, but I don't advise people to do this, to be honest. But if you're not techie, I'll say, yeah, this is okay for you. But this is the method, I would say, which is, instead of you changing that in C#, when you want to use, because you want to use this quote as itself, not a closing quote for this one. Because in there, this is the beginning of the quote and this is the end of the quote. And this is the beginning of a different quote and this is the end of that particular quote. So for you to make this one not like it's not a string, it's not end of the string, you put a slash and you put a as normal, not ending quote, and this is not also treated as any quote, it's treated as normal quote. That okay, the symbol for quote. So, and that's the way to do that. So then the next part is, since this is not a CSS selector, it's an XPath, you change that also to XPath. I would advise you don't follow this method. So you just write it from the beginning, because it's easy for you to forget these things if you don't start like your driver dots. If you are new, it's better not to copy and paste, because if you copy and paste, then you forget to change most of these things. So, but it's an XPath, so I'll change that. Also, the same way also. So then you click on the sign in button. Quickly, let's look at that before our time is up. So inspect the sign up button rather. So that's another button, and also it's got a submit. And then, okay, yeah, this is a good example, very good one, right? Because now it's only the class it's got. So I can use the class name, but maybe I don't want to use the class name. So in this case, I can say, okay, let's use the XPath, or let's use a CSS selector. So let's use the CSS selector in this case. So copy CSS selector and see what we have. So let's find element by dot CSS selector open. Then, so because it's a submit button, so I can I can say dot click. If I can also say submit. But if you don't know what you are doing, I'll just say just use click, because that also should work. Sometimes if you are not so sure if the submit is not a submit button, because then that will not work. So yeah, then we'll talk about. So we filled most of our tests actually with different things. So the next step is for us to run it. Hopefully that works. So I'm opening different windows, so I'll bring it into your view. Okay, yeah, that's done. So it's not running. There's a bug there. So said unable to locate that particular element. So yeah. So now I think this is where you might need a bit of help to see if it's not working. First name has two methods. Okay. No, I only added them, but this is the first. You can as well leave it. This is just saying because someone is asking that first name has two methods, so maybe no methods has so or maybe send DG or type DG inside. So I can as well comment this one out. So if I do that double slash means that this is no longer required. It's not going to be executed. So that becomes a comment. So even if you do this, it's still fine because what happens is not going to be clicked on. So then that is going to send DG in. So we got an issue. So I will leave this for now. So when we meet next week, so we resolve it together. So I will just because let me see if something I can. Okay. Okay. So like I said, you can debug your code. You just need to put breakpoint at where you want it to stop for when you want to investigate your line of code. So you put a breakpoint there, and when your test starts to run, it stops at that breakpoint. Then you can now step into your code one after the other. The first thing that you do, then that's first thing you do. Then also, instead of saying run selected test, you say debug selected tests. So then if you do that, then so let's see what we have. We have a few minutes. So okay, as you can see, it's run and it's now at this point waiting for me to say it should continue. So you have different options here. If you click on continue, it's going to continue to the next breakpoint. So, but you can as well say it should continue to the next line. by saying step into or step out or step over. But I want to say step into to continue from there. So you press F10 or F11. F11 will step into your code, then so that executed, it's already done. So what that did was to open a browser for you. That is a browser. It opens in a different window. So click that to the side. Okay. Okay. So this is now. So I press F10 or F11 rather again. So I'll click on that or F11. So it takes me to that. Navigate to the site. So that is that and that. So yeah, so that is where the problem is, because it seems that it's not actually going to the giffrey.com. So what exactly is the problem? That's what we need to now investigate. So there are two ways it's possible that Chrome driver is not compatible. So you check your, that's what I'll first check, to be honest. So in the Nugget package, then also because this is, yeah, like I told you, like when the setup is fine, everything is fine. But in some cases, you got issues like this that you should from here. So we got a very good issue at hand to look into. So then we can look at that together. So I would stop from there. Any question? Okay. If you have any other questions, so I think you pop it into the WhatsApp group, and then we can discuss from there. Okay. Thanks everyone. Have a good evening.
Owó accommodation gbàtà wà ní Lincoln yẹn a máa ń sanwó per day a máa wọ̀n pé so kí ni point kápó sunlé ká ní pé because bílẹ̀ yẹn ṣe rí nìyẹn pàdé làwọn ká ní pé a gba flat láti sanwó month ṣé o kẹta pé lé wa ni. ó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bàbá ṣe rí gbàmí contract ẹ̀ máa jẹ́ 3 months now so